So I will be choosing golden lines from one of the readings and explaining why it's interesting to me. So it was really challenging for me to choose golden lines because while I'm reading, I'm constantly annotating in a notebook and I have a huge conglomeration of quotes that I think I could expound on. But I noticed that reading over the explicit quotes that I chose to write down word for word as opposed to summarizing content, that there was a central theme to what I first thought was just random stream of consciousness. The quote that I chose I felt like best summed up that theme, and it was from Feinberg and Stolz's explanation of the interpretivist theory. It's about 2 paragraphs down on page 81, and it says, "One could also argue, however, that any proposed explanation of social life will inevitably fall short of a true scientific explanation, because it always must be based on some interpretation and hence be a subjective point of view. This is tantamount to denying that there is any possibility for the development of an objective social science." So I'll definitely preface my explanation of what this means to me first as an aside that my first discipline is anthropology, and that what I've learned about myself in exploring these various theories is that I am an interpretivist to the nth degree. I kind of stumbled into anthropology as an undergrad. I was actually pre-med but was uncomfortable with how limiting I felt it was as a discipline. I guess I wasn't happy with, as the Wallerstein article discusses on page 6, the nomothetic disciplines. I hope I said that right. Or the disciplines in search of scientific laws. I just personally do not believe in my core that you can apply any law to human beings. I feel that the very definition of laws implies something is static and unchanging, and that alludes to expect the same outcome every single time. So to apply a law to people would assume that they're also static and unchanging and will have similar outcomes all the time. I feel like people are not paintings. They don't hang on a wall to be observed. You can't step away and return, and the same scene will be waiting for you collecting dust. People are not just rational beings, even though we like to insist that we are all the time. If that were so, then things like a crime of passion wouldn't exist within our civil laws. That is an example of how even our justice system, which predicates itself on being totally driven by the reasonable person's perspective or beyond reasonable doubt, which we also could debate, but that's outside of the scope of this blog, still acknowledges the presence of irrationality of human emotions. I think the most that we can do is offer critical commentary on how to best suit a situation within its context, taking history into account, obviously, but we can't predict the future, and we can't offer sweeping generalizations because every situation is unique. I'm a huge fan of Foucault, and he's lauded for refusing to come up with a blueprint for human subjects. Feinberg and Stolz talk about this on page 70. Now, he's speaking from the frame of reference of domination and control, but I think that that can be carried over into pretty much every aspect of human existence. I agree with his premise of just making sure to be constantly reflexive of our taken for granted aspects of reality, but I just don't feel like there are any prescriptions. Now, that doesn't mean I don't think we should make an effort towards goodness. I'm hugely motivated by a very humanistic and human family attitude, but I hold almost this existentialist idea that we're all suffering together and that we're all living and dying together, so we should all just empathize with the human experience and try to be as good as possible to one another. This includes eradicating any kind of social injustices. How I think one should go about doing that effectively is a whole different blog. Now, obviously, that is a very hyper-simplistic for the sake of the scope of the blog post, and it's deeply personal and likely has huge holes in the logic. I'm still navigating these ideas myself, but I think it's a start. And now I'm going to go back to writing my comparative theory paper. Have a good day, guys.